Welcome to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. You can refer to me as Miss T. And I saw the thumbnail. Do we understand Floyd now? Before we get into that, know the drill. Let's turn to. Welcome back to Boxing Fans Talk TV. I'm your host, TDT. And I apologize for being a half an hour late. Internet was acting funny. They've been laying cables out here, and today was my house. So I don't know. I got on as soon as I could. So sorry for the inconvenience. But I'm here. I'm back. Please like, share, and subscribe if you haven't already. So if you already subscribed, don't worry about it. You're locked in. Please hit that like and share button. If you're watching me on replay, leave a comment. I do listen to your comments. I am open-minded, but I am still Miss T. Hit the like button. Lean on that leasy when you step into the heezy. Or just hit the like button when you step into my square circle. Anywho, not much that I could talk about. It really ain't a lot of fights that's coming up that I'm that interested in. I don't know about you guys. Hold on, let me see. Cause I know we had some up the schedule. So we got R. Soto versus Butler, ESPN Plus. I don't even know which one of those folks is. Rodriguez versus Rung Visai on the Zone. And both of those fights, by the way, is 9 p.m. Joyce versus Hammer, BT Sports, July 2nd, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Fury versus Hunter, that's been postponed. Desora versus Pulab 2, that's on the Zone, July 9th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Maxeo versus Vargas, I might want to see that one. That's on Showtime, July 9th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Barboza versus Zorilla, ESPN, July 15th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Garcia versus Fortuna. The Zone, July 16th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Still, don't hold your breath on that one because any minute now, Garcia gonna figure out a way to drop out. I would be highly shocked if he actually do this fight. Talking about Garcia. We talking about Ryan Garcia, that is, versus Fortuna. Um, that's gonna be on the Zone, July 16, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Gonzalez versus Dogbo or Dog Bay, however they pronounce it. That's actually gonna be a good one. ESPN Plus, July 23rd, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Garcia versus Benavidez Jr. Showtime. And I think that's Jose Benavidez Jr. That's on Showtime, July 30th at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I thought that fight was going to be earlier. I ain't for sure, but I guess that's going to be Danny Garcia, that is, and Jose Benavidez Jr. This should be interesting, but I think they're fighting at 154. Then you got Conlon versus Mariaga, ESPN Plus, August 6th, 2 p.m. Smith versus O'Mason, The Zone, August 6th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Ortiz Jr. versus McKenzie, The Zone, August 6th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Usyk versus Joshua 2. We want to see that one, August 20th, 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm assuming that's going to be on The Zone. You guys heard me when I was talking about that Joshua signed the deal, much like Terrence Crawford, in the sense that he's looking at the big picture, he's looking down the road, and I think it was a good power move. He signed a deal with The Zone as a partner. So what that tells me is anytime The Zone put on fights, the ching for Joshua, kind of like Bud. You know, you be hearing people don't want to accept the fact that Bud is signed to a network. You're not locked into it. There's no guarantee that he will be fighting on it. But he has a network. And he has a network that PBC works with, which is Fox Sports. But they're going to be changing their name to Bally Sports. And that's who Bud is signed with, Intro Box and Bally Sports, as a partner. Ruiz versus Ortiz. That's on Fox. Pay-per-view September 4th, 9 p.m. Eastern Time. And Canelo versus Golovkin, September 17th, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So this is the upcoming boxing. As far as tomorrow, I really don't know who Soto versus Butler is or Rodriguez versus Rungvisai. I'll take a look, but I don't know who those folks is. But anywho, those are the fights that's coming up in the near future. The boxing section is in the building. What's popping? Popping King, he said salute to my dogs in the chat. Salute to you, Kyle. What's going on with you? How you been? So y'all see the thumbnail. Do we understand Floyd now? So, it's the only thing that was interesting to me today. Victor Ortiz. I read this article about Victor Ortiz admitting to Joe Cortez years after the fact that he was ordered by his trainers at the time to headbutt Floyd when they fought. Y'all remember that fight between Victor Ortiz and Floyd Mayweather when I think Cortez took some points from him because he headbutted Floyd and he was apologizing too much and Floyd knocked his ass out. It was one of Floyd's last knockouts before, I think you count McGregor and did Floyd knock somebody else out? I think you count McGregor. But he was like one of Floyd's last knockouts of his opponents. He consistently kept apologizing to Cortez over the years. I mean, he just keep doing it. And Cortez is like, man, it's all right, let it go. But they told him to headbutt him. Now think about that. Think about what Floyd has said about it over the years and what folks thought about it. That's what I was doing. Thinking about what Floyd said about the fact that Victor Ortiz was headbutting him that much. Because, when Floyd finished the fight, he said, well, he did something dirty. He can talk about what he did dirty. It's a rough sport. You know how Floyd be talking. We ain't gonna talk about that. Like, it just makes me look at Floyd different. It makes me think of a lot of shit that Floyd be saying. And I'm gonna tell you for real, I have always been a big ass Floyd fan. I don't like how Floyd act outside the ring. I can definitely tell you his ways is good for him in the ring. He's a bit of a narcissist. He's a bit egotistical. Very conceited, seem like. But I think you have to have those type traits when you're a boxer, especially if you want to be great. I read this story. The reason why this story interested me is because I think about all the stuff people say about Floyd, what he do and what he says, and the strength of it all. We think that Floyd is a hothead. He can't help himself. You be thinking Floyd ain't smart, then you gonna back him into a corner. He gonna say something. You be thinking that. But that ain't Floyd. Floyd is smarter than you think. Floyd hardly ever puts down his opponents before he got in the ring. Like if he got a tomato can, he not gonna tell you. He not gonna put him down because he wants you to think that this fight can go either way. And a lot of people that hated Floyd really believed every time he fought in that latter part of his years as a boxer, oh, this time gonna be different. This time Floyd gonna get his ass handed to him. People thought that Victor was gonna be that guy. Sometimes they thought Robert the Ghost Guerrero was gonna be that guy. They definitely thought Maidana was gonna be that guy. And more than anybody, they thought Pacquiao was gonna be that guy. You know what I'm saying? So when Maidana fought, you remember Trainer Tracks caught in the corner, Robert Garcia saying, come on, man. Like he was basically saying, underlay, like cheat if you have to. Remember he said that? And they caught it on TV. Maidana was cheating a lot. Maidana is probably single-handedly the one person that has derailed Adrian Broner's career. It was a long way to fall down from his rise. I'm not laughing at Adrian Broner or anything like that, but I think about how Adrian Broner used to act. I used to clown people, how he had no mercy, how he could kick you when you're down. I'm sure in boxing or outside of boxing, people like to imitate how Floyd is. But I've never heard this story. I've never heard this story that his trainers have actually told him that. Now Victor goes on to say, I got rid of those guys. I was ashamed. I was embarrassed. I got rid of those guys. It makes me understand better too why Victor Ortiz was kind of humbling. He was humbling himself when he lost. Remember his reaction? Remember how he was smiling? He was like, hey man. Like he could like his hand, like he was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. Floyd could have kicked him when he was down. Remember how Floyd beat Mcgregor? I actually think Floyd carried him to those later rounds. on purpose. It just makes me think I have a better understanding of Floyd. You know, just when you want to think Floyd is something else, you don't know what he talking about. I understand him. I mean, the man should teach a class on how to be in the boxing world. Seriously. I'm a big fan of Floyd. I don't like how he treat people. I don't like how he act outside the ring, but we talking boxing. And to learn now, that fight was so long ago. Hell, the Pacquiao Floyd fight was 2015. I know because I went to it. But Victor Ortiz fight was so long ago. Victor Ortiz at any time could have got on somebody's podcast or did his own podcast, or he could have announced this. He could have announced this. If he was very apologetic, right, pretty much when it happened, he could have came out and said something. But he didn't. See, we be thinking of Floyd as this scoundrel. We don't listen to nothing he says. And if you think about it, a lot of things he say, we be just ready to dismiss it or not, give weight to it. But just learning this made me think differently a little bit about Floyd. I'm gonna tell you what I'm thinking. When Floyd makes the statement, I am PBC, and PBC is me. I gotta feel like I gotta take that to the bank. I don't know about y'all. I don't know what y'all think. But sometimes I feel like I gotta take that to the bank. Or when he comes out and say they wrong on the Bud and Earl fight. When everybody, certain YouTube creators was actually saying when the fight was and this, that, and the other. Sometimes they be right. Sometimes they be close. But Floyd said, no, they wrong. And I would know. When Floyd claimed to be in some kind of control over Earl's career because of who Earl is signed with the PBC. And Earl comes out and he'll say, no. And then Earl say, well, if I did work for him, I didn't know it. Earl said that years ago. He kind of really say the same thing now. And I ain't knocking Earl. I'm just saying it just make me think. When Floyd make these little statements, how accurate they really are. Can you take what he say to the bank? And I know y'all said, RT, that's a stretch. Because you learn about Victor Ortiz. We been knew that his corners were saying, I didn't. And I was a big ass Floyd fan. I didn't know that he admitted to Joe Cortez. And Joe Cortez said every time Victor runs across him, I guess his guilt gets to him that much that he has to apologize consistently to the point that Cortez said, let it go. It's over, bro. Then I think when Floyd was at the Hall of Fame, and he said, Bud coming soon. And then just these little sayings that Floyd be saying, or how he interjects himself into people's situations and stuff like that. I be like, we want to think negative, or we want to think, nah, Floyd lying. But I think about a lot of his sayings. And what I'm asking you guys is, when he lie, have we ever caught him in a lie? Like a straight up blatant lie. Has Floyd ever really been wrong when it comes to boxing? We know that Floyd wanted to sign Bud. And this is how I feel about that. Floyd is a winner. No matter how anybody feels about that. Floyd is going to associate himself with winners. He's going to associate with himself with the best, the creme de la creme, the top of the line. That's what Floyd, that's what you can take to the bank with Floyd, no matter how we feel about it. But when did he lie? Have we got a definitive answer on I am PBC and PBC is me? Have we got a definitive answer on that? We don't. So why would this article make me think differently? It helps me understand how he move in these streets, in these boxing streets. it's just amazing to me. Like, he never put Ortiz down. He let him live. He let him have his career. I thought he was gonna really shine on motherfucking McGregor. He never did. He was cordial. So Floyd may feel he may be sitting up there that y'all don't know how sympathetic I am. Y'all don't know how I'm really for the boxers. Y'all don't know how, I don't try to ruin people's careers. Y'all think of me as a petty person, but I'm not petty. And I gotta say, he ain't. He caught a lot of flack. I remember the tensions during this Victor Ortiz fight. Some of y'all might remember, some of y'all might not remember. Some of y'all might feel like it won't that big a deal. But I remember the tension and all the buildup around that fight because, people claim the referee didn't call it in. You remember how Larry Merchant was acting? Floyd went off on his ass. And right after that, it seemed like he got fired from HBO. Floyd said HBO need to fire your ass. You don't know shit about boxing. Remember that? And he had I don't even know if Roger was up there, but definitely I remember Ella B saying, "You heard him." And Larry Merchant was like, "Yo, if I was 50 years young," he said, "You wouldn't do shit." You wouldn't do shit. Now Floyd could have went further with this whole fiasco. But Floyd probably calculated, no matter what I say, they ain't gonna believe me. They ain't gonna believe shit I'm saying. So he didn't go out his way to try to convince you. You know, Larry Merchant saw only what Floyd did and wanted to hit him across the head with it. But Floyd was like, "You ain't see what he was doing." I've watched that fight on a couple of times, a couple of occasions. And I gotta say, I didn't notice it during the live fight, but now I knew what to look for, and that was not since I read this article. This was like last year I watched that fight again. And I knew what to look for because I know that he was headbutting. I was like, I know he ain't just started that. It's like when I look at the Mcgregor fight again, and I really believe that Tony Weeks was in on the fix, allegedly. Say that, allegedly. But Tony Weeks' career seemed like it kind of faded. Because you remember Tony Weeks was doing everybody fighting. But you can see when they come to the big fights who they ask for. Kenneth Bayless. You see Bird, I think his name Richard Bird. You know that guy Reese that did the Wilder Fury fight? He done tore his draws. But he was once a good ref to me. A good ref is Harvey Dark. Problem with Harvey Dark, and it's not really a problem because you never really can find fault with how he do his fights. He you can tell he's about his business. He takes it seriously, and he is for the fighter. He's for the fighter in the way that the ref supposed to be. But Harvey Doc will call a fight off in a minute. He will. But every time I be like, Harvey, come on, it's too early. Looking at the fight, I be like, the fighters or that fighter put the ball in Harvey Doc's hands to call the play. Because the fighter is probably displaying or doing something that Harvey warned against in the locker room. And hey, if you do XYZ, I'm going to call this fight. I'm going to call it off. And Harvey will call a fight that you can count on. You have to be in the fight. It wouldn't be no Tyson Fury one where it was a draw if Harvey Doc had called that fight. Because, again, I point out the fact that, hey, what can you do when you're unconscious other than sleep? What actionable things can you do when you're unconscious? And then I go back to, don't just take my word for it. Tyson Fury said he was unconscious. Harvey Doc would have called that shit out. I forgot old boy first name, but something Reese. In my head, I'm thinking Adela Reese. I know that's not the ref. That's an actress. Rest in peace. But what was his name? Mark Reese? Something Reese. I don't trust him no more as a ref. After that Tyson Fury and Deontay Wilder first fight. But like I said, I have to reevaluate what I be thinking of Floyd in a sense. Because I know what he could have did. And he had the power to do. He didn't ruin Victor Ortiz's career. Victor Ortiz kind of did a good job of that himself. Now, we might think that Floyd might in the background be doing some shady shit. But did he? Victor Ortiz went on to fight. Took a lot of hiatus. Now he's a thing of the past. Kind of like Robert Guerrero. They never the same after Floyd beat him. But the potential here, if Floyd could have did, and now Joe Cortez is letting the cat out the bag. Joe could have kept that a secret. But I'm glad that he let it out. Because I know it's a lot of y'all out there that didn't even know that. I didn't know it. And I'm telling you, you could not have been a bigger Floyd fan. I bought every fight Floyd ever did, except this last one, this exhibition. And y'all, I don't know if y'all heard that Conor McGregor wants a rematch with Floyd, but they supposed to be in talks. I don't know how accurate that is, and I'm telling you guys, I don't know how accurate that is. I'm just saying, this is what I heard. I would say to Conor's interest in Floyd, if I had Floyd's ear, I would like, Floyd, don't fight Conor. Unless you ready to prepare for him like you did for Pacquiao, don't fight Conor. Because hey, you can't convince me that Conor took that ass whooping good. Conor kind of faded off, remember? He was going through his own shit. Floyd could have kicked his ass when he down. Did he deserve it? Hell yeah. Sometimes these fighters cross the line with their mouth. He was saying shit to Floyd's daughter. We know that Floyd's oldest daughter is a handful, but at the time, I don't know if she was a child, but she was a young teenager or still a kid. Or the shit that Conor was saying to her and everything, or the racist thing that Floyd said that got under his skin. Floyd, at the time, and Floyd didn't linger on it. Floyd, after the fight, Floyd could have been like, I told you, you whack ass motherfucker, you know. I'm ready for Floyd to really go snap off on Conor at the end of the fight. But he embraced him. He shook hands. You know, he made him feel like you're still a man, you're okay. Still a champion. You can bounce back from this. And you hear him say that shit all the time. What do Floyd know that a lot of other fighters don't know? Why we calling him petty and shit? Because, I mean, you gonna teed up the Victor Ortiz situation better. You think Floyd didn't know that Victor Ortiz was on an apology campaign? If he's consistently over the years keep apologizing to Joe Cortez, you think Victor Ortiz won't saying it to other people out loud where people can hear it? But he chose not to say nothing. I gotta give it to him because he could have did so much with this information. And believe me, as I'm reading it, I was shocked. As I said, he make me rethink when he said I am PBC and PBC is me. Make me rethink it. Even Earl's answer is, well, if to do you work for Florida? Is Floyd running your career? Well, if it was, and I didn't know about it, I believe Earl probably don't know. But then again, not nothing against him. And I say this about all PBC fighters. I think they do know. I think they do know. And I think when Floyd says something, you can't just take it with a grain of salt. And did I get it all from this article? Not really. It's a combination. This was the straw that broke the camel's back for me. It's a combination of shit that Floyd say. And I be double thinking and like, what? Why is this interesting to me? Because we're waiting on that Earl Spence and Terrence Crawford fight. If I am PBC and PBC is me, I'm wondering what's taking long. Do he have to twist some arms? Do he have to really, convince Earl that, let's get the fight on? Do I think Earl is scared of Terrence Crawford? No, I don't. Do I think that he's scared to fight anybody? No, I don't. Do I think he's a great fighter? Yes, I do. But for some reason, the conspiracy at PBC is making me think, what the hell? It was beyond Bob's control. I'm not caking for Bob. Bob probably was in cahoots with them. You never know. Al Heyman could have been on the phone with Bob. Say, y'all, nah, we gonna marinate this shit. We ain't gonna, whatever. Because we can't say that Bob had Terrence Crawford's best interest at heart. And Floyd actually said, we want to wait with that fight and let it marinate till it become big. And Terrence always had Floyd's number. They had a relationship or a rapport. I just think those men are too strong-willed type men. Like, their egos or, even with Earl, enough to openly just be side saddling with Floyd, just like Gervonta Davis do. I think those two guys, the ill afford for the type of men that they are, because no matter how big you are, how much money you got or don't got, with your credibility as a man, it seemed to be when you come around Floyd, you capitulate a little bit of that to him. And if you think about how Adrian Broner was, big bro. They had that falling out here and there. You think about the things Floyd could have said that he was probably privy to. I a lot. But he never said nothing. Or do Floyd hold this information or integral information as a chess piece? I don't know. Floyd could have shitted on Earl. If you think about how Floyd is as because we say he petty. We say he like to put you down, most men, and he like to you know, manhandle you or outman you or whatever the fuck. Like your masculinity, he like to like let people tell it he like to barrage that and take over on that and all this stuff, make you seem less than. He could have did that with Earl. Because after all, Earl's claim to fame was a sparring session that he did with Floyd. But not for that would Earl be where he is today. Would anybody have felt sorry for him that he wasn't getting what he wanted? Because, I mean, everybody can get behind and understand and side with Earl for what Earl was feeling when he was trying to come up in boxing and Keith Thurman was giving him the stiff arm. A lot of people can understand that. They feel a certain way. They feel like Earl do. But y'all forget that Keith Thurman was begging for a Floyd fight. He wanted that lottery ticket. He knew Floyd was at the end. We all knew Floyd was at the end. We could map that out from the moment he signed that deal with Showtime. Remember, it was for a 6-fight deal. We knew when it was coming to an end. We knew. Keith Thurman wanted to be one of those 6. And this is back then with the "don't duck me, son." You know, Keith Thurman was the man. I know, because I was a big fan of his. I mean, I'm still a fan of his a little. But Keith Thurman wanted it from anybody. And he was like, I think he was in his early 20s or, mid to late 20, like 24 or something. I don't know how old he was exactly. But he wanted Floyd. And Floyd was like, nah. Now, some folks can say, or they would say, or maybe have said, that Floyd was ducking Keith Thurman. He didn't want no real killers. He didn't want to fight the real dogs in the welterweight division. That's what they were saying. So what did he do? A classic move in boxing. When you at the top, you allude to something. You interject something. In other words, you get your fans to pick up that ball and run with it. Or maybe you do it yourself. But you get folks' attention by throwing them a shiny penny. I know, Keith, why don't you fight Earl? Now, because he's Floyd Mayweather and he said that, Keith has to respond to it. Now I don't know his exact words, but a lot of y'all feel like Keith was on that humming. He got the humming when Floyd threw Earl Spence in the mix. Now Earl Spence was coming up. Earl Spence wasn't a champion. He wasn't even the top ranked champion. Why Earl took it personal, even way back there, I couldn't tell you. I couldn't tell you, because if you look at it, what is the good argument that Keith Thurman needed to give Earl Spence a shot right there in the beginning when Earl threw when Floyd threw Earl Spence's name out there? It definitely got Keith to stop trying to bring up Floyd. It probably made Keith understand, you're not getting a Floyd fight. Won't you fight this up and coming dude, Earl Spence? But Keith knew Earl was the goods. He knew he was the goods. And Keith been fighting after fight after fight. Like, Keith was fighting often. And he was knocking folks out. Doing it in spectacular fashion. He was breaking ribs. They talk about Earl breaking the orbital bone. Keith was breaking bones too. I forgot the guy name that he was fighting, but he broke his ribs in the ring with boxing gloves on. Broke his ribs. Maybe Floyd felt like at the end of his career, he wanted to fight who he wanted to fight. Not necessarily light touches, because I can't call Berto a light touch all the way. He ain't on Floyd's level. Everybody can see that. I wouldn't say he was a light touch. I wouldn't say Maidana was a light touch. I wouldn't say Pacquiao was a light touch. These are some of the people that Floyd was fighting at the latter end of his career. He didn't want to fight Keith. But Keith was really the truth back then. But Earl wanted his shots. He wasn't patient, in my opinion. He felt a certain kind of way. And like I said, this article made me think of a lot of stuff, Now, even Boots, like if you look at Boots Ennis now, they try to get Boots in interviews to talk about Bud and Errol, but he respectfully say what he says. He still put himself in the line of fire because we know Boots is the #1 IBF contender for Earl. He still put himself or try to put himself in position. But Boots don't put nobody down. He don't do all the calling out. It's understood what he wants. He wants a title shot. It's understood. He don't have to put on the song or dance. We know that Boots Ennis is the truth. But look at how Bud and Errol speak about Boots. John Porter straight up said he ain't want it with lean. Boots is Errol. That's what he is. A lot of people want to throw Boots in Terrence pathway. They want to throw Boots in Errol's pathway. But a lot of us is in agreement. The fight we want is Earl and Terrence. And because they both are great fighters, can't really say it's 100% guarantee that one is going to beat the other. I can't even say that. And y'all know it's Team Bud over here. But I do have my reasons for picking Bud to win over Errol. I do have my reasons. And they're legitimate reasons. They're not to knock down Earl. I say this all the time. But this article, to me, I know y'all like, how do you cross that? How do you get that? Because I am thinking about the Bud and Errol fight all the time. I said it yesterday that I no longer am going to believe in that clean boxing program that WBC has said. Kyle, I know you remember when I came on Fred's show and I was like, oh, look, they got a list. I wasn't aware of that list until I, recently before I came on Fred's show. And I was like, we don't have to speculate no more. Because I see a lot of people speculate. I see a lot of people straight up lie. And I be like, we don't have to go through that no more. We can they put out the list every month. This is what WBC said they gonna do. My boy Caps and Full G, he breaks down how VADA testing and the clean program work actually, which was news to me. But now I see how it go. And I told y'all yesterday, I did diligently look up the list of boxers who have complied with the clean boxing program for the WBC to see if they made the list. Who making the list? As far as I understand, if you're in the ranking of the WBC, but especially if you got a belt, if you're fighting for a belt, if you're fighting for the ranking with the WBC, it's a requirement that you get with their clean boxing program. Who was all about clean boxing? Who had probably more WBC belts or got WBC belts way before anybody else? WBC made a lot of money with Floyd. Floyd is smarter than we think. Floyd advocated for years the clean boxing program. Advocated for years. Always. I just want it to be an even playing field. These are things he would say. But I'm being reminded that I am PBC and PBC is me. This article makes me believe that statement even more. I don't know about you guys, but it makes me believe that statement even more. Because what it shows me is that Floyd is not petty. Floyd is smart. He could have hung Victor Ortiz out to dry. Could have. I'll still give that slight possibility that behind the scenes, he probably was shitting on him or making it hard for him to actuate fights for himself. I leave that possibility. Maybe a 10% chance that he was actually doing that behind the scenes. But if we are to believe Floyd, and he is PBC and PBC is him, which makes me believe that statement even more. I'm just sorry. Just reading the article and everything, I said, well, damn. Have we ever caught Floyd in a straight up lie? Have we ever seen where Floyd just was blatantly wrong about some shit? We can't even put our finger on it. And then I said, well, damn, if he didn't roast the fuck out of Victor Ortiz when he clearly had the opportunity to do it, because Victor Ortiz was the one with the guilty conscience, he could have roasted the fuck out of Conor McGregor. Oh Lord, he didn't have to do nothing. They roasted themselves in more ways than one. But if we know, and I have put out videos to show this, that PBC do not want to fight with Terrence Crawford. Now, am I saying negotiations ain't going down? No, because I don't know. They talking. I believe that they are talking. If you listen to some folks, even them, they doing something. Maybe I would go so far as to say a term sheet has been sent, but I wouldn't go so far as to say a contract was sent. But if I am PBC and PBC is me, did Floyd get what he want now? There's video that showed Floyd years ago saying, let this marinate. Let it build up. Years ago. Talking about Bud and Errol. Is it years later? Did it marinate? Is it one of the biggest fights? Is that what Floyd was meaning? Has Floyd tried to sign Bud Crawford? All these answers are yes. Bud did not sign with Floyd. I did a video along with others who showed, with receipts where Bud is signed to or who he signed to. A lot of people don't want to accept it. I showed the receipts. You can go back and look at my videos. Then the last couple of months, Bud is signed to Introbox. And Introbox works with Bally's. Bud is signed as a partnership. It don't tell you the percentage of partnership, but a partnership is another name for owner. Some kind of way. When people say, I'm in partnership with this person, you're in some kind of ownership with that person. As I just put out the other day about Anthony Joshua, is now in partnership with the zone. There's a lot of ways you could have said what Anthony is doing. They call him a brand ambassador. What else they said? I don't know if he's a spokesperson, but I know he's a brand ambassador, which kind of makes him that. They had 3 titles. Damn, I'm drawing a blank. Drawing a blank what they said. And I don't like to do that. Because I was talking about the fact that AJ made a power move like Bud. And the fact that he has a network. Can't never say that AJ don't got a network because he was DAZN in partnership with him. He's a shareholder and he was a special advisor and a brand ambassador. Those are the titles that they said AJ has got for himself. Valley Sports, I showed you guys in writing. It's the new name for Fox Sports. I don't know what it's going to take for people to believe that. This is something you can easily Google. And Bud is in partnership with Intrabox and Valley Sports. So that means all the fights that they put on, cha-ching for Bud. While everybody's saying Bud needs the PBC, but he needs to make the fight. He need all this shit. We just witnessed him at the Hall of Fame, where he got his hand casted. I talked about that days ago. Amongst others, where he got his hand casted. I even showed you guys on the video what they said their reason is for hand casting retired fighters. They said they do that for all their inductees. Well, we know that Bud can't be an inductee yet because he's still an active fighter. But he got his hand cast. What that tell me, as soon as he said, I'm done, that next ballot, he going in. It's all about timing for Bud. It's guaranteed. Even Floyd said it out his mouth. That Bud Crawford coming soon. He didn't say maybe. That he coming. Not I think. Not a future Hall of Famer like that, how they say about everybody. Well, they don't say that about everybody. But this article put things in perspective with me with Floyd. I think Floyd do got his hands in the mix along with Al and putting this fight together for Earl. Earl kind of is backed into a corner. He's stuck between a rock and a hard place. If he don't fight Bud, he's going to have to face somebody like Boots. Because it's due time for the IBF to actuate their mandatory. That will be Boots. So, again, we might be even seeing a McGregor and Floyd rematch. I am not saying that that's a definite. I'm saying that there's articles out that's saying McGregor wants that. It took McGregor a long time to get over that loss. Again, Floyd could have really just went in on these dudes. He's smarter than we think. He's smarter than we think. Then one of the last things that Floyd said as of late, he said, you'll find out when I tell you. Pretty much, I'm paraphrasing. You'll find out about this Bud and Spence fight when I tell you. I'm starting to believe that shit. I'm starting to wait on Floyd's word. This article said a lot to me. Because I remember the tension. I mean, you got to think Larry Merchant, who's been in boxing forever, got fired off this fight. Floyd just suggested it because Floyd had enough. I went back and watched years ago because I was such a fan of Floyd. I watched all his fights. And I watched when Larry was riding his dick to when Larry kind of changed. Floyd had been in several fights, but when he started threatening their cash cow, which is Oscar, or threatening meaning when it was becoming apparent that Floyd gonna have to fight some of your favorite fighters, talking about those commentators back then. Oh, now Floyd ain't shit. As long as he was fighting, great fighters or good fighters, but you know how they felt. I look at Larry Merchant is a bit of a racist too. I can't prove it. I cannot prove it. I'm not saying allegedly. I'm telling you my opinion. It's just how I felt about him. That other one too. What's his name? Oh shit. The guy that used to always be with Max Kellerman. Oh my God, Jim Lampley. Him too. I feel those vibes. I can't help it. I feel those vibes off of those guys. And Brian Kenny. you know, I can't prove none of it, but I feel some fucking vibes off of them. And those three guys, when they could, always took a jab at Floyd. But Floyd was able to maintain his composure. You know, he's not the loudmouth that you think he is. He wasn't in the business of trying to destroy a man's ego and pride. He was very careful, probably more than most fighters. He took care of their pride and ego. He actually, made it like a responsibility of his. I'm famous for saying I'm not responsible for your ego or pride. I'm not responsible for your masculinity. And I can't stand when men put that burden on other people. And in this culture these days, you hear a lot of that. Like they taking out masculinity. They do. How can anybody do that? I just don't see it. You are responsible for your ego, pride, and masculinity. But Floyd, looking back, he was taking some responsibility for his opponents' ego, pride, and masculinity. Because what he could have did, he didn't do. Look at how the Charlos act. You think that they would hesitate to put this shit out on Front Street? They would squeal in a minute. You think McGregor was gonna take it easy on Floyd if he won that fight? He done talked about Floyd like a dog. Look how he talked about him before the fight. You think Mike Donna or any of them was gonna give Floyd the benefit of the doubt that he was giving them? And from my understanding, him and Berto didn't get along. He really could have let Berto have it, but he didn't. So that shows restraint. That shows empathy, or you can say sympathy. That shows smartness, because a lot of people believed his last 6 fights with Showtime, any one of those guys going to do it. A lot of people bought into his fights and everything because the controversy was so big. As he said, you can pay to see me because you like me. You can pay to see me because you hate me. But the money is green either way. This article just flew me in on some shit because I still don't really have a reason or understanding why he didn't go ham on McGregor. McGregor deserved it. Maidana deserved it. Robert the Ghost Guerrero deserved it. But Floyd had sense enough to know to let the fans believe, hey, it's a possibility that his opponent was going to get him. Again, that shows restraint. Earl don't have restraint. He doesn't. That's a quality that's a turnoff for a lot of folks. Bud, to me, has restraint. It's a turn on. And I don't mean in an intimate situation. I'm talking about as a boxing fan. I'm making comparisons. Earl don't have no restraint. He will elude. He will talk vague or cryptic. But make no mistakes. 9 times out of 10 on Team Earl's side. I'm not just talking about his fans or even some, YouTube creators. I'm not talking about them. I'm talking about Earl Spence himself. His attitude reflects leadership. He does put people down. If you don't believe me, think about what he said about Bomac. What did Bomac do that Derek James didn't do? Didn't Derek James explain why he believed Earl was better than Terrence? As he should. He should have that opinion. He can speak on that. They are in the same weight class. I never got mad at anything that Derek James said. It's his opinion. I listen to it. I consider him a subject matter expert talking about Derek James. And he gave his opinion or breakdown of why he thought Earl was better than Terrence and what's going to happen in that fight. He didn't say much, but he gave his analysis of it, his situational analysis of it. Bud didn't come back talk about Derek. Not at all. Maybe Bud has been a student of how Floyd run himself or comport himself, I should say. But Bud didn't come back and say nothing negative about Derek James. Don't worry, I looked. I don't remember him saying anything. Bomac do the same thing. 'Cause I saw what Bomac said, and it wasn't that nefarious or negative. It wasn't that at all. He just was talking about his fighter, as he should, giving his situational analysis as he can. They're both in the same weight class. And right away, they shoot a jab at Bomac saying he undefeated when it comes to eating. Talking about how fat this man is. The world can see that Bomac has weight on him. Why would another person talk about that? I didn't understand that. And I know guys got thicker skin. And it might seem like, well, damn, T, that got to you. It's pointing out something. How tacky that was. But that's what they did. Like I always say, Earl Spence and them be cliquish. You know, Floyd, if you watching Floyd and you out there or you've watched Floyd, I'm going to say, because he's retired, and you watch fighters out there that capture the essence of him, because Floyd do a lot of things great, as he always used to say. When it comes to boxing, there's so many different things and levels in the boxing game. How you get the fight, how you make your negotiations, how you are in that ring. Yes, Floyd always would say, "I do everything great." Between Earl and Bud, I think Bud captured it better. Bud moved in silence, kind of stealth like. He's a lot more quiet than Floyd. But everybody that Bud has fought, I've searched. Did he put him down? Did he go ham on him? The one thing that Bud had ever said after the fight that made you feel like, damn, is when he fought Thierry Jean, the one from Canada. He was undefeated, swore up and down he was gonna beat Bud, talking a lot of shit. They gonna come take his belt. And he fought in Nebraska, I believe. And Bud said, "Did you find what you was looking for?" Because Bud beat him bad. That's about as negative as Bud went after a fight. Floyd, if you look at his fights, never went negative after the fight. He never went all the way negative. He always told the truth, but he chose his words carefully. He did take some kind of ownership or responsibility in that fighter's um, pride and ego, and just how will they fare going forward. Floyd wasn't in the business of trying to destroy people mentally, because sometimes in boxing, when they take a loss, they can't come back from it. And Floyd knew that. He was very careful with their mentality, with their mental. You know what I'm saying? Victor Ortiz, his whole action after that fight with Floyd explains a lot because I felt like you don't care. You're not up in arms. People are handing it to you. The Jim Lampleys of the world, maybe even Max Kellerman, but I know definitely Larry Merchant. They was handing you a narrative that you could have ran with. Floyd didn't even engage. Victor couldn't engage. He acted like a person that was caught with his hand in the cookie jar. And Floyd could have crushed him. So, all that to say, I'm reading this article out of nowhere, and I'm glad that I know this now. I'm glad that it's out. Joe Cortez has no reason to lie. I think he's a retired referee. I'm glad that it's out. And he was like, he didn't say to this day, but he was like consistently, even like he didn't say that it never ended. He made me feel the way the article read, Joe Cortez statements made me feel like even to this day, um, Victor Ortiz still apologized for that. Like he just really carried some guilt with it. He got what he deserved. If you make a mistake, you must pay. That's Floyd, right? That's my impression of Floyd. If you make a mistake, you must pay. If you're not ready, don't be in it. You don't belong in there with him. He have said as much too. But I am PBC, and PBC is me. So I'm actually gonna start hanging on to Earl. Keep saying Earl for some reason. I'm gonna start hanging on to Floyd's word because I think Floyd has a vested interest in this fight. I do believe this is gonna be one of the biggest fights this year. I do believe that this fight could actually generate $100 million. I really do believe that. And if PBC and Floyd, I'm saying Floyd, if they pull it off, man. But Bud ain't stupid by no means, not by a long shot. And just because I say that, that don't mean that I think Earl is. I'm just saying I know a lot of people like to think that Bud is stupid, but he not. He not. I think that both fighters gonna come out good. You know, whatever may happen. I do believe that Bud don't need Earl. I personally believe that Earl needs Bud more so. Bud can retire right now with all his faculties, never having taken any great punishment or anything. Don't have to worry about Alzheimer's and his future, and he's going to the Hall of Fame. Whether he fights Earl Spence or not, he's already got real credentials. He's got real credentials because of the things that he accomplished, the awards that he have won in his career, and to throw icing on top of the cake, the retired boxing Hall of Famers, people like Roy, people like James Toney, people like Floyd, and countless others who's saying he's the goods. They're all saying it. He is the goods. Again, I want to point out before I move to the next story. Floyd said years ago, let their fight marinate. We're not gonna do it right now. Let it marinate. And my question to all of you, has that come to pass? Has that come to pass in letting that fight marinate? And the answer is yes. So Floyd got what he wanted. I am PBC, and PBC is me. I believe Floyd at this point. How I get that from an article, I'm telling you, I look deeper, y'all. I look deeper because reading that article, I thought about all his fights. how he act before the fight, how he act after the fight, what he could have did, what he didn't do, how he could have went hardcore on him, all that shit, and how most of all he composed himself in a way of restraint compared to most other fighters. I got to give it up to him. Floyd knows when to hold him and fold him. He knows when to walk away and run. And I'm just saying, right now, I would love to be on the inside track, knowing what's really good. I'm reading body language. And I could be wrong, y'all. This is me speculating. I have a right to speculate. I have a right to guess, but I could be wrong. I'm looking at Floyd's body language, how he embraced Crawford, how he said, "Oh, you coming soon," how he wanted to sign Crawford more than anything. Floyd don't beg nobody, and I'm not gonna say he really begged Crawford, but he asked him more than once. To some men and their egos, that could be misconstrued as begging. Floyd don't really ask no. He don't really come to folks and be like, "Yo," but he damn sure did that with Bud, and he could have did that with Spence. Now some people gonna say, "Oh, cause Spence, you know, earl him up in a sparring session that maybe Floyd had a vendetta." So I don't agree. I think that man is in very much control of his emotions because I'm telling you, Spence rode that wave of besting Floyd for a long time. And to Spence's credit, he didn't talk about it or respond to it in the way that the Charlos probably would have. I got to use them as an example. Spence was very careful at his words and how he acted and what he was saying. He didn't deny it when people were saying talking about this shit. Spence never denied that shit. He let that shit be the narrative. It's probably where he honed in his skills of talking cryptic and vague. Because I know Spence knew that Floyd had that kind of power. It makes me think of when Spence says stuff like, "If I was working for Floyd, I didn't know it," or "I don't know how deep Floyd ties are in the PBC. Is he a shot caller? Is he a boss? Is he the real owner?" Well, if you think about it, if he bested Floyd, then you bested him. What's the worst? He brag about everything else. He'll put everybody else there. What would be the worst he could have did by by talking about him besting Floyd and sparring? Floyd could have turned him to make the fight. Spence would have been all too happy because he felt like he bested Floyd, or he let other people say he bested Floyd, that he gave Floyd a black eye. So he ain't gonna be scared of Floyd saying making the fight, make the fight. If he that good, then why not brag about it? Why not brag about it? But Spence has always been with PBC, and you don't bite the hand that feeds you. If you look at his actions, because he was very vague. He let everybody else do the talking. He won't go say nothing because one, Floyd got an ego. We know that. But what could Floyd do to him other than say make the fight? Now, if you know something that we don't know, that Floyd is a big investor in PBC or the boss or one of the bosses or 50% ownership, then no, you might not want to say nothing. You might not want to say nothing. So let Spence tell it. He has his own promotional company. Al Heyman is just his manager. Kind of like trying to describe. Devin Haney had it with Eddie Hearn, but I don't think they had it quite like that. Eddie gave a lot of leeway in his partnership with um fucking Devin Haney. The only thing that make me say Devin Haney was never his own boss because he didn't put up the money. I'll say that for anybody. But Earl Spence always had man down. Earl Spence says if he worked for Floyd, he don't know about it. But even when he was trying to explain it, it was kind of vague and cryptic. He won't. It wasn't. When I said vague and cryptic, it wasn't the emphatic. Hell no, I don't work for him. I work for I. What you talking about? I work for PBC. You know, that's how people would talk if they know they didn't sign the deal with Floyd. But he was like, I don't know. No, I work. He just kept saying who he worked for. He never came out and said no, like all the way. No, I don't work for Floyd until he said if I work for him, I didn't know nothing about it. See how he gave himself wiggle room. So now that we know Floyd don't hit you when you're down. Floyd don't he don't attack your ego and pride because Earl got big ego and pride. So do Terrence, so do Floyd. Those are some big egotistical men right there. As they should be. Because that come with the territory, right? I'm not knocking them, neither one of them when I say that. As they should be. But it makes sense now. It makes sense. I don't know about y'all, but I was always that person that wondered how Floyd don't get at him. Now I see. There's a method to his madness. And folks know how integral Floyd is at the PBC. And that could be why the Errol Spence answer, if it is, I didn't know about it. And if that is all true, then Floyd got his hand all in this fight or this negotiation. And in a sense, Errol do work for him. If it's true. If Earl is locked in with PBC and that Floyd tell it, I am PBC and PBC is me, then yeah, Earl, you do work for him. And now that I know that Floyd shows restraint, we see him do it all the time. But now we see the proof that it was something more to the story, and he elected not to even divulge that, not to even crush the dude. I'm waiting on Floyd's word. I really am. But that's what that article did for me. I don't know. But you guys, I hope I explained that pretty good. Like I said, there is rumors McGregor, or there's articles out saying it might be a Floyd rematch with McGregor. All I can say is the Floyd don't do it. And trust and believe me, McGregor, he been practicing. Floyd, the same way you beat him the first time, you gonna have to beat him differently. You gotta train for him like you've trained for Pacquiao, or one of those big fighters, because McGregor is gonna be ready for what you gave him the first time. Plus, McGregor, didn't he just break his ankles real bad? So McGregor needs to know it's all about footwork and leg work when it comes to boxing. And I personally don't think he really wanted with Floyd because he got one of the best. I mean, if not the best footwork and leg work in boxing. So McGregor might want to think twice. But hell, if you're making $100 million or $150 million when you fight, shit, I'll get in there. Fuck it. So, anywho, in other news, Tyson Fury is claiming as of today, y'all, as of today, that he is still retired, but he is not vacating his WBC belt. And I asked, how is he able to do that? How is he able to do that? I made a video before about why I thought it was weird that if Deontay was such the loser, how do WBC rank him number one? How did he cut the line in front of other people? And this Team Wilder over here. But how is Deontay able to do that? You know it's Team Wilder over here at Boxing Fans Talk TV. But it makes you say, it was all about the money. I've said in my video, Deontay would be better served for himself to go get in the rankings of the other sanctioning bodies. Forget WBC, because that's how they say to you. Forget you. Mauricio, all about money. You know heavyweights bring money. Why are you letting Tyson Fury keep this belt? I thought sometime in May he was supposed to get the Emeritus belt. That's what WBC put out. This is why I say that clean boxing program, everything that WBC talk about, in my opinion, they are the graded belt. Ain't nothing real over there at the WBC. They might as well be a WWE belt. They that degraded at this point. They lie for people who they want to lie for. They sweep shit under the rug for people who they want to sweep shit under the rug. They always coming up with belts to be like a money grab, or they're not even a nonprofit. That's a straight corporation, in my opinion. And then you got Tyson Fury who said, "I'll come out of retirement if y'all pay me $500 million." I haven't seen Frank Warren, I haven't seen Bob Arum, and nobody come out and emphatically say hell to the no. You think Bud could say that? You think Earl could say that? I can go down a list of fighters that do you think that they could say that before Bob would be like, "Are you crazy?" So they entertaining the thought. But if Deontay is ranked number one, isn't he and Tyson Fury, next in line to fight yet again for the fourth time? But see, Tyson Fury don't want that. Tyson Fury is saying, "I'm still retired, but I'm not vacating the belt." Come on, bro. You know how fugazi the WBC gotta be to hear some shit like that. This man is that bold. He got nerves of steel like that he gonna say, "I am retired." This is as of today, y'all, and I ain't vacating the belt. But Fury don't want that rematch with Wilder. He definitely don't. But hey, y'all keep an eye on that. I find that really weird for Bob not to come out and shoot down that 500 million, and for the WBC not to do what they say they're gonna do. I shouldn't be shocked with the WBC. Oscar Valdez didn't get punished. Canelo Alvarez really didn't get punished. So they cake who for who they like. Then you shit on Deontay, but then you make him your number one because in the end it's about the money he can generate, and he's a cash cow. Nah, and the WBC seemed like it be working in conjunction with the PBC all the time. And I go back to the Floyd statement. I am PBC, and PBC is me. In other news, Shakur Stevens versus Robeson Kaseko. Remember, that's the guy that fought Oscar when Oscar was sipping on that tea. Well, they trying to put Shakur in with him, and that's set for September 23rd. And even though Bob Arum wants Shakur to move up, Shakur seemed like he's not showing no interest in doing that as of now. That fight is going to take place in Newark, New Jersey. They say they still negotiating on that fight, so it's still underway. But that dude Robeson Kaseko is ranked number 2 in the WBC and WBO. But like I said, he lost to Oscar. I personally think he won that fight. Oscar popped dirty. They get no punishment. But it seemed to be that Shakur might actually want to clean up the 130-pound division. I don't blame him. Go ahead and be great. You can't listen to a 90-some-year-old man. He's at the tail end of his life. I was gonna say a joke, but I ain't gonna do that because I don't play like that. You know, Hopefully he lives longer. He's at the tail end of his life because he's a senior citizen. He's older. You know, Bob is, that is. But Bob mindset and notion and his devaluing of his fighters, that's not going to change. And nobody should feel a certain kind of way, like really, really mad about it or go on this campaign, try to make Bob Ankle change. And if Bob do you dirty, by all means, take his ass to court. But as far as like trying to change how this man view things, he feel like Shakur shouldn't worry about undisputed at 130. He says it's basically like lighting the ass down there at 130. But if it's lighting the ass, run me them belts. Get the 130 undisputed. Drop them bitches. Go up to 135 undisputed. Drop them bitches. I mean, that's what you got to do. Tank, you need to be trying to be undisputed too. Y'all all need to be going for the Super Bowl. Devin, like you, love you, Dev. I don't praise you like a lot of other people do. That's not a hit against you. You're young. In due time, that's coming. I do think you're an awesome fighter. But when you made the statement on the boxing force, that what up? I don't want to fight Shakur. We friends. Don't do that. Don't do that. I know you're a grown man. You can do what you want to do. No disrespect them. But I wouldn't do that. I don't say that. Boxing is a solo sport. You are the goods. You should be wanting to fight everybody. Anybody who want that smoke. And you that good. And a fight between you and Shakur will be a good fight. But man, if Bob got control of you for the next two fights, I don't see Bob doing that. But that would be an excellent fight. And if Shakur, if you move that, you know what I'm saying? And Bob, you have the control because Shakur is with you and Devin is with you. Easy fight. That will generate a lot of money. You don't have to marinate this shit. They will make a whole lot of great fights in their time to make a lot of money. But again, you can't change Bob mind. But that's all I had today, y'all. I'm going to be, the more to the story is for me today, I'm going to be looking out and listening to whatever Floyd got to say. When he said, I am PBC and PBC is me, I believe him. Did I get it just from an article? It's a combination of things. It's a combination of things that Floyd said. But what that article showed me is the restraint. And for a hothead like Floyd, I never thought that he could really have that. I never thought he could have that. He's a better businessman than people give him credit. He's smarter than people give him credit. And it's like when y'all think y'all got the Mayweather, what do you call it? The May print? the May, how did he say it? The May print? The blueprint or whatever? Y'all don't have it. Y'all don't have it. I think he's more involved with PBC than people know. And I think people who are with PBC knows how involved he is. It ain't just no friendship, me and Al. All that kind of money ain't just no friendship. There's some ownership behind them scenes. And you know what? Anybody who's fought with the PBC or know anything, you know, really how it works over there, shit, feel free to come to my channel. Let it be known. Because inquiring minds want to know. I ain't mad at Floyd. Because I always say, what would the PBC be without him? So PBC, because Earl is the big fish. He is the A side, as everybody like to say. Which I don't care. I give it to him. He got the most belts. I don't have an argument with that. No problems with that. That means that everything got to be generated on Earl's side. That means PBC. That means Floyd and them. They got to put it together. Only thing I tell Bud going forward, if he listening, if you got to pay for this dude's body testing, do it. It's a drop in the bucket to get a fair fight. But maybe Bud feel like, I don't care if you cheat or not, I'm going to win. I don't know. But that's all I have for you guys today. It's Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Oh, yeah, I had a question. Go to it. Somebody asked me a question. It's a weird question. I told y'all I would answer y'all questions. So they was asking me about, let me see, the water. Why I always say the water, and am I being honest when I'm talking about the water and advocating it and what it could do for you and all that? Which I mean, I like the question. It's fair. Or they say, how can I sit up here and guarantee anything? I would say it like this: 1,000 ways to skin a cat. I'm sorry, not the cat, fish. That I ain't want to say that no more. Because cats are my favorite animal. It's 1,000 ways to skin a fish. And I don't care what diet you do, what new change in health that you do, or pathway you take. If you don't drink the proper amount of water, 9 times out of 10, it's not going to work. And sometimes you can be a teenager, and it's not like this information is hidden from you, because it was never hidden from me. But we just don't think about it that hard. We don't think about how the body functions and what it absolutely needs. But I'm telling you, everything you do when it comes to your body and health, water is at the top of the list. And without it, whatever you're trying to do, you're gonna fail. And so the other part of the question was, how can I guarantee my success or whatever when I be talking? Guys, I know it seemed like I'm just saying it now. Or I just brought up this stuff now. I've been doing it damn near 10 years. And I tell everybody, like even I've done it locally for years. And I help a lot of people for free for years. The only reason I charge now is like I said, because I spend a lot of time. You're paying for my time and effort, is what you're paying for. I tell you everything. I leave nothing to question. I think about every question you can ask me and I answer it beforehand. I know it works because I've seen it works. I can guarantee it works. I've seen it works. It's like Cap said about what he does. If it don't work, it's going to be strictly because you didn't do it. I know it works. Hopefully, in the month of July, um, I'm gonna have testimonies on here. Because now, when I get with folks, I be like, "God, do me this one solid. Come on here and testify. Tell your testimony. I can't tell it for you, but I can't convince you unless you want to try. And if you want to try, you can hit me up at boxing fans talk at gmail.com. It's scrolling at the bottom of the screen, boxing fans talk at gmail.com. You can hit me up. I will come up with a plan for you. Everybody don't be trying to lose weight. Guys, I always tell you guys, even if you have watched my Sunday shows, or if you didn't, let me reiterate. I don't have 4 organs. Now, sometimes I think I'm amazing because they've removed 4 organs from me. And I'm fine. I'm fine. Real organs, major organs. And I hate to even say it. I don't even know what they did with it because I used to be like, hey, keep it on the table. I want to see it after when I wake up. No. One thing about it is like when they take shit out your body, they in control of that shit. And the organs they took do affect my health. It do affect my metabolism. As I told you, when they took the first one, it started a domino effect. I know that the shit worked. Seen it work. I help people for the free for years. And it worked for them. If I say it can do this, that, and the other, I promise you, it can do just that. I promise you. I'm not a doctor. I don't pretend to be. But I read a lot. a lot with great understanding. I'm a nerd, you guys. I'm a straight up nerd, like in the true sense of the word, with great understanding. Ain't no book too complicated for me. And I just feel that way about myself. I'm that assured about myself that ain't no book too complicated for me. I don't care what the subject is. That's just how I get down. And I'm telling you, I stumbled onto this, even though it was never a secret. It has always been out there. But sometimes people like to take it better from other folks. But, I fell into the pitfall. I am damaged goods. I had to find something that worked somewhat for me because I knew what was taken from me, I will never have success like you guys do. So you can't judge it by me. I've had the great opportunity to try it on people that's more healthier than me that haven't had anything taken. And I'm telling you what I know. If that's not good enough for some folks, there's nothing I can say. But that's why I say I guarantee. That's where that comes from. Because I've seen it done. I've done it. Guarantee it. So anybody want any help? Because my side business is helping folks find the health in them. And it's actually called Finding the Health in You. And that's what I had to do with my life. So it was a personal thing, a personal journey. And I found out a lot of shit that was right there in front of me, but I didn't know. I couldn't connect the dots. And I was like, well, shit, I'm not going to hold on to this secret. Because if I'm like that and I consider myself a smart cookie, then I was like, well, shit, everybody else could be like that too. But a lot of people pick and choose who they like to hear shit from. I don't know. I don't know why. A lot of people, I've done it enough. I got plenty of people that come to me for help. I'm good. I don't do it to be rich. I don't do it for it ain't I'm not a money hungry person like that. Of course I like money like the next person, but I ain't money hungry. You know what I'm saying? I genuinely care. So you can believe me or you don't believe me. Um, I'm not mad at your question. That's a great question. And I appreciate you sending it to me. You know who you are. Thank you for asking me. I have no problems for answering any questions you guys want to feel me. Um, I also want to do a shout out to my niece Pooh, Diamond Wyman. Happy birthday. Happy birthday. She turned the big 2-5, all to be young again. Like June and July are big birthday months in my family, you know. And so shout outs, it's cancer season. Shout outs to all the cancers in the world. Happy birthday. You know, good luck to you guys. I'm praying for you guys. It's cancer season. Soon it's gonna be Leo season. So shout outs to all the cancers out there. A happy birthday, Diamond. I hope you had a great day. And hey, Sumo, how you doing, nephew? That's Diamond's baby. So I hope they had a good day. But anyway, thanks for listening. And remember, when you know better, you do better. So till the next time, I'll see y'all Monday. But keep the questions coming in. I like them. Anything you want to know, I would do the legwork. I would go research it if you want. But I would also tell you where to find it. It's no secrets. You know, finding the health in you should not break you because this way, um, in a sense, I do feel like I'm giving back because a lot of Americans are a medical bill away from being homeless or broke as a bitch, like, just hurting. And we don't need that to be the case. I know the Supreme Court has just ruled they took away abortions. I have opinions on that, but I'm not mad. I'm that's not my era no more. That's for them young girls. What I would tell young girls: keep your body to yourself. Don't give it up no more. And if you do give it up, you make that mug wear a hat, because no matter what he say, because you got a lot of guys out there that don't like to wear hats. No matter what he say, don't let nobody get you raw. Nobody. The day of raw is over, because them same people that took that shit away, now they don't got that wedge issue no more. They got their way. They don't got the wedge issue no more. We're gonna look at it like the silver liner. That is a wedge issue that they use to get people to vote for them. They don't have it no more because they got their way. For the young ladies out there, look, you think dudes across the board, I don't give a care what color they are, you think they really pressed about this abortion thing? You know how many dudes then bust off in somebody and wish like hell they could take it back, or wish like hell that the girl could get an abortion, but then in the same breath be hollering about they don't like abortions. Abortions became a thing because it was a safe thing. It was about the safety of it all. Because abortion's still gonna happen. It's just now gonna be like a black market thing. It's still gonna happen. People still gonna do it. But they're gonna be doing, and you girls, you're gonna be putting yourself at risk. They care about that stuff. It's about the numbers game, for real. The white girls, don't let them play you. It's really about the numbers game for them. They want you to birth a lot of white babies, but they ain't gonna help you take care of none of them. So to all the women out there, young girls, listen. I can't tell you what to do with your bodies, but I would suggest that you keep your body to yourself from now on, and don't let nobody do you wrong ever. You know, Even beyond that, some shit. Things gonna be violent. Things gonna get rough. I see things increasing like rape and all that other stuff. Those things could possibly come with this decision. You know, this one time you'll hear me advocate for y'all to go get y'all peace. Go get your piece of steel. Be like men. Don't hesitate to pull the trigger. Because if you start pulling yourself back and keeping your body to yourself, then it's gonna get crazy. So you're gonna have to be ready to do what you gotta do. How they say exercise your Second Amendment rights. But anyway, I ain't gonna cry over it. That's that dumb ass shit. I predict it's gonna be one of those things, kind of like prohibition, where it was legal, it wasn't a big deal. They made it illegal. They saw that wasn't a business, and they came back, made it legal again. They rescinded it. I think that's what's gonna happen, y'all. I think maybe in the future, because it was never a law put down on the books, and I think that's what's gonna happen in the future. Once the dust settle and people see how idiotic this shit is, or fugazi, or how hypocritical this shit is from a lot of folks, they're gonna probably rescind it. I'm out of the zone. I ain't in that business no more. Baby factory shut the fuck down. That's for y'all young girls. So I don't really have no emotional whatever. I think it's sad, you know. But the only one thing is, the boxing section said, "What up, T? What up?" The one thing I think is good is that it's gonna cause a reaction. I just hope it's a safe reaction. I know it's not gonna be. I know it's not gonna be. What's up, Cal? What's good with you? But the Republicans got what they wanted. Now we're gonna see how they gonna convince people to uh, to vote for them. The wedge issues, the border control, and abortion, and all that pointing of the fingers. Y'all know how they feel about drugs now that it ain't the black group that's really strung out on drugs. It's the white group. Now it's like, oh, it's a disease. Let's not always use jail as an alternative for punishment. Telling you guys, I don't know what this can lead to, but that's up to y'all young folks. I pray for every future woman going forward. I don't know what you gonna tell your young sons, because I can see a lot of women pulling the coochie off the table. But hey, that's what y'all wanted. What you get for not voting or voting for the wrong folks. Anywho, it is voting season. Be sure to cast your ballots this November. I can't tell you who to vote for. I will always talk about I'm a proud Democrat, but to each his own. But do vote. It's like a slap in the face to the people who paid for their life, made the ultimate sacrifice, so that some folks can vote who didn't have the right and privilege. So please vote. Don't waste your vote. Vote this November. Y'all will hear me keep advocating for that. But anyway, we'll get off. I'll see you guys Monday. Maybe I'll do a show Sunday. But keep the questions coming in. If y'all send enough questions, I might even do a show Sunday. I got a handful of questions, but I try to answer at least once. One question, maybe a couple if it's depending on how many come in. But anyway, when you know better, you do better.